Welcome back to another lesson. In this video, you are going to look at a past exam, and we are looking at a question that was tested in April 2023, and we are going to look at question number 3, financial management. Now, this question was on Islamic finance, and the question read like this: highlight 5 reasons for the increased popularity of Islamic finance in the recent past. So what is expected, or what is expected from you as a student, is to give a highlight. Don't discuss, you just list some of the reasons. When you're told to highlight 5 reasons, you don't necessarily have to give a lot of details about it. So the first reason why Islamic finance has increased in popularity, the first reason being economic growth. Economic growth in Middle East. Economic growth in Middle East and North African region. And North Africa region. These are regions where most have Islamic states. So when they have increased in economically, then there is a widespread of Islamic finance. As another reason is growing oil wealth. Growing oil wealth with demand for suitable investment, in the Gulf region. Now, with the growing wealth of as a result of oil in the Gulf region, has led to increase in Islamic finance. Another reason is encouragement of social responsibility. Encouragement of social responsibility. In this case, people get to understand more about Islamic finance by these Islamic banks participating in social responsibility. Next is competitive Islamic finance product. Competitive Islamic finance product. Another reason is ethical credibility. Ethical credibility in helping to fuel growth. And lastly, we can talk of protection of economic stability. Protection of economic stability. So these are some of the reasons that have led to the growth in Islamic finance. We're talking of things that have produced a lot of interest, so that people are able to engage more in Islamic banking. Yeah. So we have mentioned things like the growth in Middle East. Yeah. You see, Middle East countries, most of them are Islamic states. So in this case, they have facilitated to the growth of this Islamic finance. We go to the next question. This question is on dividend policy, and it was question number B. Here you are asked about you're told that there is a company here called Bright Moon Limited, and the company owns 100,000 outstanding shares. Let me read. You're told that Bright Moon Limited currently owns 100,000 ordinary shares with the market price of shillings 10 per share. Then the firm has shillings 1 million earning after tax and intends to invest shillings 2 million. Intend to invest shillings 2 million during the year 2023. The firm is also considering declaring dividends. The firm is considering declaring dividends of shillings 5 per share at the end of the year. The firm opportunity cost is 10%. Then you are required to determine the price. You're required to determine the price of the share, the price of the share at the end of year 2023, assuming dividend is not declared. So this question, you're required to determine the price of the new shares, assuming dividends were what? Assuming dividends were not declared. So how do you find that? So if dividend is not declared, we are saying that dividend is not declared. If dividend is not declared, the price becomes the market price into 1 plus opportunity cost minus 0, because there is no dividends. Dividends were not declared. Now in this case, the market price here is 10 shillings and the opportunity cost is 10. That means 10% means 0.1. Opportunity cost is 0.1 minus 0, and this will be 10 times 1.1. So the market price is shillings 11. The market price is shillings 11. 2, you are told the price of the shares at the end of the year 2023, assuming dividend is declared. Now here we only now bring in the fact that dividend is declared. You're told that the firm is also considering declaring a dividend of shillings 5 at the end of the year. So in a situation where the dividend is declared, the formula remains the same. The only thing you are going to do here, P1 is equals to P0 into 1 plus K minus D. In this case, you're talking of dividends, minus D1. 10 into 1.1 minus 5. This is 11 minus 5, which is shillings 6. So when you declare dividends, then the formula will, the price per share will drop to shillings 5. Then next you are told you determine the number of new shares to be issued in B1 and B2 above. So the number of new shares, here we are going to have the number of new shares. Number of new shares, M is given as I minus X plus ND1 divided by PX. In this case, we are saying I is investment. I is investment. Then X is earnings. Earnings. N is old shares. Old shares. And D1 is dividend at the end of the year. That is dividend per share. Dividend per share. Substituting here, we shall have 2 million investment minus 1 million earnings plus 100,000 times 0. In this case, we are assuming the first case where the dividend is not declared. If the dividend is not declared, this component here, NDI, becomes 0, since the dividend is 0. Divide by the price. Price is 11. So in this case, we shall have 90,909 shares. But when you declare dividend in part 2, B2, we shall have 2 million. This is 2 million minus 1 million. Now this component here is 100,000 times 5. There is a dividend here. Times 5 divided by 6. So here we shall have 250,000 shares. 250,000 shares. So here we are asked you look at the prices of shares, assuming 1, there is no dividend, 2, there is dividend. And these are the number of new shares. Good. I hope that is understood. Then we move to the next part. The next part is on portfolio management and analysis. We are told that the merged group portfolio comprises of merged A shares with an expected return of 10% and a standard deviation of 20%, and merged B shares with an expected return of 16% and a standard deviation of 40%. The correlation between merged A and merged B shares is 0.4. The portfolio is comprised of that percent merged A and that percent merged B. You are required to determine the expected return of the portfolio. We have to look at expected return of the portfolio. You see the weights of A is 0.3 because it's 30% and the weight of B is 70%. So here we come and get the expected return of the portfolio will be the weights of A times the expected return of A, which is 10%, plus the weight of B, 0.7, times expected return of 16%. This will give you 3%, which is 0.3 times 10, 3% plus 0.7 times 16. 0.7 times 16, that is going to give you 11.2%. 11.2%. That is 16 multiplied by 0.7. That is 11.2%. You add them up and you get 14.2% will be the return, expected return of the portfolio. Yeah. Here we need to get the weights multiplied by the expected return of each, and we shall be free to go. Next, you will ask you look for the standard deviation. Here, you need to know the formula, how to find the risk. The standard deviation determine the risk. The sigma is the square root of the weight of A squared, then standard, this is sigma A squared plus the weights of B squared sigma B squared plus 2 the weights of A, the weights of B, sigma A, sigma B, correlation coefficient of AB. Now let's go back to the question. You are told that the Margie Group portfolio comprises of Margie A shares with expected return of 10% and the standard deviation is 20% of A. Margie B shares with the expected return of 16% and the standard deviation is 40%. So we only have the standard deviations for the two portfolios. Then the correlation coefficient of Margie and Margie A and Margie B share 0.4. So we only, and the weights here is 0.3 and 0.7. So we just bring our solution here. Here weight of A is 0.3 squared, and then multiplied by 20 squared plus weight of B 0.7 squared multiplied by 40 squared plus 2 times weight A 0.3 times 0.7 times 20 times 40 times 0.4, the correlation coefficient. This is the square root of 36 plus 784 plus 134.4 is the square root of 954.4, and the sigma for the portfolio is 30.98%. So that is how we find the standard deviation of a portfolio, and that marks the end of this video. Meet in our next video. So goodbye.